Hi everyone, it is me, Sailor Moon, and me, Sailor Earth here. And today we're going to talk about, you know, I don't know what we're going to talk. Oh, sorry. I don't know what we're going to talk about here today, but we'll see what we can talk about. So today we're going to, talk about Sailor Moon's time on UPN and WB. Now, my time on UPN and WB was, we'll say, alright. It wasn't flawless, but it was alright. You see, my show when it was on UPN and WB was on sundriest times, and some of them could be known as dead time, steads. Where there's no other show on at that time, and the FOLKWORK is taking the break. And most of the time, some businesses plotting showing time instead of having a show on there. So UPN, and I guess sometimes even WB, would put my show on at 5 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning, when most folks are not even awake yet, or are getting up but not in the mood to watch anything yet. So not really good looking or watching came from that. If lucky enough, my show would have been on at 5 or 5:30 in the morning, 6 or 6:30 in the morning, which is still kind of alright, I guess, but didn't do a lot in the looking and watching. Now you might ask yourself, why did UPN and WB put my show on at those early times? Because I guess there were many other folks that had a deal for their show to be on at whatever time it was on, and they didn't think they wanted their show bumped for a new show, which had never been on the FOLKWORK before. And that's my only guess I can come up with. Or the ownership or leadership of UPN at the time just didn't, just gave the show really bad time because they didn't really want anything to do with it. I don't know. All I know is that UPN put my show on at a time where most folks were not, awake yet. Or if they were, they weren't watching it. So it was like this for a year. And then UPN and WB gave up on my show, saying, oh, well, that watch time didn't come in. Not enough folks are watching. Well, let me guess, because you put it on at 5 and 5:30 in the morning when most folks are still asleep or getting up. And if it was children you wanted to watch the show, which yes they did, well, how many kids do you know get up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning? Well, I don't know. So, and I can't speak for what time that WB had my show on, but I guess that they probably had it on at a good time than UPN did, but I don't know. So right there, my show being on UPN and WB didn't go very well. But if you think that would have been the end of my time on there, you'd be wrong. Oh, well, Sailor Moon, never how you got. Then we go talk about my, then we talk about my time. Well, some UPNs and some WBs would put my show on at 7 or 7:30 in the morning. So it had to do whatever WB or UPN you had. But then it still wasn't good enough. We know how that went. Well, isn't it true, Sailor Moon, that Serena, that you got to deal with the USA Folkwork? Yeah, I did get a deal with USA, but I was like 1 or 2 years after one. I was like 1 or 2 year after the UPN WB deal. So yeah, can I talk about that? If you want to, go right ahead. I don't. So yeah. Anyway, everyone knows that. Shit. Everyone knows that Sailor Moon was on USA and between 97 YL when USA had, still doing children drawing shows and drawing films at that time. And they had gotten a deal, and it was formerly known as USA Drawing Show Fast, but they had shifted it to the Utmost Working Team instead, and getting deals with, well, a lot of geek shows, we'll put it that way. And Sailor Moon was one of them. And they had it on at 7:30 Monday through Thursday. Why not Friday? Who knows? But I believe at the end of the day the watch time was alright. But the only thing that stopped Sailor Moon from having a good run on USA was right around that time that Sailor Moon got the first two, was on USA for a year and a half. New ownership came in and bought the USA Folkwork, and that new ownership set up a new leadership, and the new ownership and the new leadership felt that drawing shows and drawing films did not fit the USA Folkwork. So by between 98 YL, the Utmost Work Team was ended, and any other show that may have been on there, well, their deals were over too. But then it led Sailor Moon to her time on the Cartoon Network, or drawing show Folkwork. And at the time, she had, 4 o'clock to 4:30 in the afterday, which was a good watching time if you were into drawing shows and drawing films from Dawnland, because that's what time Cartoon Network or Drawing Show Folkwork did it. And Cartoon, whatever, had a longer broadcast deal with it. Ran with it from between 98 YL until 2003 YL when they let the deal end. So at the end of the day, it took the 4 Folkwork to do with it, with the other 4 didn't do so with it. UPN and WB giving it dead time, didn't give it good timing. USA getting bought by another business, and the ownership and leadership thinking that drawing shows and drawing films didn't fit. And Cartoon willing to do with it what all the other 3 Folkworks before of it, either the first 2 didn't do, the other one was handicapped by new ownership and leadership to do with it. If you were in the settled land, well, we know there's a lot of folks that lived there, you would have saw it on YTV, and YTV ran with it from between 95 YL, between 97 YL, 1900, between 90, that YTV had a longer broadcast run with it. They ran from between 95 YL up to 2003 YL though, and gave it a good watch time. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Alright, yeah. Well, you're right about that, Sailor, if you're right, Ernest. Alright, that's all the time I got. I, Sailor Moon, Serena, and I, Sailor Earth, Ernest, will see you later.